Muse are a British rock band. Well, are they rock? Are they really rock? Not really. No. I guess when they first started out, in the 2000s, they started getting pretty popular. They had some huge tracks that became pretty mainstream. They ended up being, a stadium festival go-to artist. You know what I mean? One of those big arena rock type bands that weren't really that heavy in the way of what rock music can be, but they were pop enough to reach a huge audience and become very successful. I'll be honest, I've got a few singles I've always liked. I can't really call them a particularly great albums artist, and since this decade has begun, they have decided to enter dubstep fusions with like arena rock type shit that has just produced in some really ugh type music. The last album was pretty much panned. The second Law was in fact panned as well. They've still got a huge core fan base, but generally music nerds don't typically enjoy their sound, and for very good reason. I mean, they're trying to mesh two worlds together that just never sounds good, and I'm not sure how. Muse fans have just kind of gone along with this and accepted this as a new era for the band, because it's like Fall Out Boy, like they started out one thing and they've ended up turning into this electronic shite nightmare that just is atrocious to listen to. Kinda carries on over to this new Ready Player One album, which they have kindly subjected us all to. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna defend them though. The first few tracks, I was like, okay, this is alright, this is fine. I'm not offended by these tracks. I don't particularly think they were anything I'd ever return to. The opening track just kind of felt a bit of a slog, to be honest. It went for this epic, grandiose feel that I just don't feel they ever reached. It wasn't horrible to listen to though. I mean, it was certainly a better track on this album, if you could even go as far as using that word. Same with the Dark Side, it was fine. The synths got a bit annoying. I think they just overuse this electronic sound in their music. It just washes out everything else. There's not really anything that feels authentic. It's very plasticky and fake and metallic. That just puts me off the entire aesthetic of the album, to be honest, because it feels computerized. It doesn't feel like humans are crafting this music. But again, it wasn't too bad. I think the way Matt Bellamy approached the song with his vocals, he has some pretty good vocal control when he wants to, and it sounded alright. I think it had this pretty cool, otherworldly atmosphere that I appreciated for what it was. See, I want to say that Pressure was fine as well, but honestly, it kind of got a bit annoying, and I don't know why. I think it was the instrumental. It sounds kind of catchy, but it just kind of got drilled into my head a little bit too much, and I got a bit bored and found it pretty stale. But at least it's better than what the rest of this album produces, because as soon as this track is done, it takes a fucking nosedive. I don't know what propaganda is, but man, all it sounds like to me is old people attempting to recreate a modern electronic charting song without really knowing how to make a modern electronic song. It's like that last Beck album where he was attempting this new electronic fresh sound, and all it ended up being was this hideous mesh of all these different sounds and ideas coming together. It just it fails. It really fails. Can't help but feel like they think they're going for this really cool sound as well, with the little clicks coming through, and Matt Bellamy's like rock and roll voice, like it's just a really bad way of showing that you're a bit out of touch and you're trying to create this new modern futuristic sound, and all you're doing is failing at it. If you want some futuristic cool pop music, just please go listen to Clarence Clarity at least. At least then you're gonna get something at least worth revisiting at some point. And yet this right here is just gross. Another gross track is Break It To Me. This is where falsetto can go wrong. When you overdo it with the falsetto, you make this. And that little down, 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 down. Like, guys, you've completely ditched rock music at this point. You don't need to throw in these little awful guitar licks every so often just to remind people, hey guys, we still use guitars. We haven't left our roots. We're still a rock band. It's like you've got to go the whole way. If you want to make some electronic music album, go for it. Fuck it, man. Who cares what your fan base will say? They'll still go to your gigs to listen to your biggest hits. But you've got to go the whole way, or you just end up fusing two styles of music together that completely fail. Or you can make something human, which is the worst attempt at an advert commercial song I've heard since the last Imagine Dragons album. And as I say that, I realise that Imagine Dragons also had an album out the same day as Muse. My god, this track, the lyrics. I've never really listened to Muse, I mean like their 2000s work, and thought, man, these lyrics stand out in a really bad way. But they've hit that point now. They really did. They've done it. Get up and fight. Oh fuck. I can't do this without you. I can't do this without you. Again, the instrumental that comes on this one. Oh Jesus Christ. It's like fitting a trend that isn't there, but you're out of touch and you're not entirely sure what the current trend is, so you make this really bad synth lead. Oh. It's funny as well, because as the album goes on, it progressively leaves any sort of rock elements that were there at the beginning, and I can't help but think that this might be due to the fact that Muse fans will want the rock, so you know they start off with the rockier type stuff just to keep them happy, and then as the album goes on they progressively ditch it in hopes that maybe Muse fans will be like, well, we still got the rock songs at the start, so I'm fine with that. Even still, ditching all that though, like musically there's just nothing tangible on this album. Like, it all feels incredibly robotic, it all feels incredibly calculated. There's not anything here that seems real. Like, it all sounds fake, and perhaps that's what they're going for with this, like, you know, otherworldly type thing, you know, everything's a bit robotic and all that kind of thing. But for music, it just comes across as even worse than it could do. Matt Bellamy puts passion into his voice when he wants to, but it comes across as inauthentic as it possibly could, and I'm not entirely sure how or why. And as if they threw in those millennial whoops in Thought Contagion. I've heard this 1,000 times before, and it almost never sounds good. Yeah, so many of these tracks were painful to listen to. I mean, as an album though, I must say there were a few tracks that were at least tolerable. Can't really complain about the whole thing, but there was just so much dragging it down. It was unbelievable. What the fuck do I know though? This is gonna sell well. They'll probably chart at #1. They'll do a tour and they'll sell out everywhere they go. You know, for what? For making incredibly just sounding music that is just not worth anyone's time. I just don't get it. This is a 4 out of 10. Yeah, this was really not that good. I feel as though anyone that's, you know, in the music world will kind of know that this isn't particularly good anyway. It's really just beating a dead horse, I guess. The past few Muse albums have been panned. This is just another one to be added to that collection, so I'm probably not really offering an alternative opinion. But all I can say is that this is just not worth your time. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews if you haven't already. I hope you enjoyed this review. Have a good day. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Goodbye.